Hi guys, welcome to Keeping It Simple Crafts. Today I am going to show you how to make two different inexpensive Valentine's Day wreaths. For the first wreath, you're going to need one of the heart-shaped wreath forms from Dollar Tree. You're going to need some burlap ribbon. You're going to need some heart garland from Dollar General. First, you're going to flip your heart-shaped wreath over and you're going to thread your burlap under it, and you're going to carefully hot glue the ribbon onto your frame. If you have some hot glue finger guards, you might want to put them on for this. Just be very careful and let the glue dry, then flip it back over. Now you're going to carefully take your burlap ribbon and just wrap your wreath form. You'll want it to overlap a little bit, but not too much. So you're just going to do the same steps all the way around the heart-shaped wreath form, just keeping your burlap ribbon nice and tight and try to make it as smooth as possible. You will need 2 rolls of the burlap ribbon from Dollar Tree for this wreath. Now you can do this ribbon with any color ribbon that you would like. I just am going for a more neutral look, so that's why I chose the tan burlap. It's a little bit tricky on the points, so sometimes you have to play with your ribbon to get it just right. So just try to get it as smooth as possible and then continue wrapping until you get all the way around, and just be very careful when you're using your hot glue. This wreath is very simple to make, and it's also very inexpensive. Everything came from either Dollar Tree or Dollar General. In the drop-down box below, I'm going to link some of my other heart-shaped wreath tutorials that I've done in previous years, just in case you would like to see how they look. Next, I'm going to tie a bow, so you'll want to let out a tail, make a loop, pinch it tightly in your left hand, go to the other side, make another loop about the same size as your first loop. Then you're going to go back to the other side, make another loop, check to make sure the loops are about the same size, keep it pinched tightly in your hand, go back to the other side, make another loop, check to make sure it's the same size, then let out a tail. Now you will need some floral wire to wrap tightly around the center of your bow. To dovetail the ends, fold your ribbon in half with the edges to the left side, go to the folded side, cut away from the fold, and that makes the pretty V on the ends. Next, fluff your loops, and you're just going to take your wire, wrap it around the heart-shaped wreath form, go to the back, give the wire a few twists, then cut off the extra part of the wire and fold the ends down. And so here's how it looks with the pretty red bow. Next, I'm adding some of the Dollar General heart garland. I'm just cutting the hearts off of the twine, and now I'm going to hot glue them onto the wreath. One above the bow, one below the bow. Just be very careful when you're using your hot glue. Make sure you let the glue have time to dry, and to hang this wreath up, I just took some twine and made a loop and hot glued it on the back of the top of the heart wreath form, and that's how I hung my heart wreath up. This little heart-shaped wreath cost me around $5 to make, so it's very budget friendly and it turns out really cute. So you can change up the colors and make it whatever color that you would like. Okay, so for DIY number 2, so this one's really simple too. You will need one of the Dollar Tree wreath forms, and mine just happened to be gold. You're going to need some ribbon with wire and some of the heart grapevine hearts, the little tiny packages that Dollar Tree has in new for Valentine's Day, and you're going to need a roll of the burlap ribbon from Dollar Tree. Same steps, be very careful when you're hot gluing your ribbon onto your wreath form. You might want to put on some finger guards, and also make sure you don't glue your wreath down to your table. My friend Dawn suggested using a silicone spatula when you're hot gluing your ribbon onto your wreath forms, and that worked really well, so thank you, Dawn, for that tip. Same steps as we did on our heart-shaped wreath form, but you will need 2 rolls of this burlap ribbon. I could only get 1 roll, and I was a little short when it came to the end, but that's okay. I covered it up with a big bow, but you will need 2 rolls instead of 1 if you can find it. If you can't, you can make it work with 1. So this is how it looks, and you can see that I have about a 2-inch space where the frame shows. Next, I'm tying a bow, and this is 3-inch width ribbon with wire. So I'm letting out a tail, making a loop, keeping it pinched tightly in my left hand, going to the other side, making another loop the same size as the first one. Then you'll just go back and forth, trying to make the loops the same size on each side until you get the bow the size you want, and then let out a tail. And you'll want to have some floral wire close by to wrap tightly around the center of your bow. And I usually use 20 gauge floral wire, and you can pick it up at Michael's, Hobby Lobby, Walmart, Dollar Tree, places like that. Just make sure you get the wire nice and tight around the center of your bow. Leave the wires long. Dovetail your ends. Fluff the loops on your bow, and then you're ready to attach it to your wreath. And I just threaded my wires around the center 2 wires of the wreath form, then went to the back and gave the wire a few twists, and then cut off the wire, folded the ends down. And then it looks really pretty with just the bow, but I decided to add this cute little True Love Never Ends sign from Dollar General for $1. I just added some hot glue to the center of the back of the sign, then I just placed it under my bow and held it for just a little bit until it had time to dry. Next, I decided I wanted to take the 3-inch ribbon and fold it in half and wrap it around the wreath. So I just went to the back, hot glued the ribbon on, and then I just spaced it out, wrapping the 3-inch ribbon around the entire wreath. If you have some thinner ribbon, that would look pretty, but I'm just using leftover ribbon that I had from Christmas. When you're wrapping your wreath, try to make sure that you're pulling it nice and tight and leaving some space, about the same distance, between each stripe. And just wrap it all the way around, then hot glue the end to the back of the wreath. And so this is how it looks when it's finished, and I really love the way it looks, but I wanted to add some of the little mini grapevine hearts that I found at Dollar Tree that are new. I tied a mini bow, and then I just put the wire around it, then wrapped it around the little tiny heart in the center. Then now I'm just taking the floral wire, threading it through the burlap ribbon, and then I'm going to go to the back of the wreath and give the wires a few twists, and then cut them off and fold them down. Now this is optional. You do not have to add these little grapevine hearts. So I just spaced the hearts out and then just wired them on. And so this is how it looks hanging on my door, and I also attached a piece of twine to the back of it to hang it up. So you'll have to let me know in the comment section below which one's your favorite, DIY number 1 or DIY number 2. So let me know your favorite, and I hope everyone's doing good, and I hope you have a happy new year. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and share.